All right, guys, in today's video, we're gonna talk about the 5 biggest mistakes you're making with your driver. Now, this is gonna be a big video. There's a lot of information in here, but it's really good, and I really want you guys to stick till the end and watch all 5 to make your life easier. We time-stamped everything down below, so you can skip ahead at certain points if you want, but make sure you stick in the whole video and watch all 5. You're gonna love it. Before we dive into today's video, 2 quick things I want to talk to you guys about. Number 1, we have launched our golf schools in Bethlehem, PA this summer. Would love to have you for a 2-day golf school. We'll put a link in the description down below. If you can't make it for a golf school, we'd still love to coach you through CogornoGolf.com. That's where I can work with you no matter where you are in the world. You can send me your swing videos. I can help take your game to the next level. You get access to everything we have on the site, including the member library, all of the master classes, the practice section, and the quick fix section. Would love to see you guys there. All right, Mr. Steve, thanks for coming out again, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you. So we're going to talk about the 5 biggest mistakes with the driver that we see.
Sure.
And I would say the number 1 thing we see, and the simplest or easiest thing to make an adjustment to, is ball position.
Yeah, you have to practice it a little bit before you take it out on the course, but it's something where you're going to see kind of instant results, like from the very first ball. You might give yourself 2 or 3, just because it might feel a little weird. You might kind of skank a couple or hit it fat or something, but give it a few and you're going to start to see a different flight.
Massive difference. So if I take a setup here, let me hop on this camera, and I were to say, let's go over what kind of bad is first, and then maybe what the good version is. So I would say there could be a couple ways someone's bad, but more or less the thing that we would both see is the bad version being the ball position being too far back. Yeah,
from the middle, anywhere from like a more than 1 ball inside the heel all the way to the middle. A lot of people will play it in the middle.
It's way too far back. And so if we were to give a checkpoint for what a good ball position is, what would you say, Steve, here as a good driver ball position?
Well, so we've read everything, and everything we've been taught as we've grown up is that we want it off the left heel or maybe into the left instep. And I would encourage everybody to give a few shots at putting it up at the big toe.
Okay.
So for you, that's going to be quite an adjustment. You can even go in another couple inches like that.
Yep.
And yeah, that's, I call it aggressively forward. Because now we know that hitting up on the ball significantly, in fact, probably the more you can hit up on the ball, the more potential for distance you have without raising your club head speed at all.
Yeah, and I think we talked in a previous video about hitting down versus hitting up, and we'll hit in a minute, potentially 20, 25 yards, like pretty quick. I would always say, Steve, for people for ball position as a stock, without knowing their speed or anything about their swing, you know, somewhere near lead armpit or shoulder is a safe territory. But then if I want to go more up, because it depends on how wide my stance is.
Absolutely.
And I like a reasonably wide stance for speed. I really like that kind of off the kind of front toes or lead toe, aggressively forward.
Yeah.
Best odds to hit up to mine.
And so for you, what you might be measuring differently is how many inches the ball is forward of the center of your stance or your sternum.
Yeah.
Because like you're saying, if you prefer a little bit of a wider stance, getting it all the way to the front toe, well, you're probably going to need a 4-inch tee at that point. Because you're going to be hitting so up on it. So it might be beyond where you would want to go with a wider stance. But nevertheless, it's basically the further, another way to look at it would be the further you get the ball positioned out in front of your chin.
Okay, I like that.
The more up you're going to tend to hit on it.
So let's do 2, Steve. Why don't I do the bad one first?
So we're going to go middle stance.
Middle stance.
And I've got my my pocket TrackMan here.
Yeah, we'll do this. We'll hit 2. Then we'll
you're going to take what otherwise is like kind of a normal swing, right?
Yep, normal swing, but ball too far back, which is more middle.
Yeah.
And so let me just hit one here with this.
Yeah, you got it. Okay, so we got a British ball.
And a
British Open ball.
Good shot, little baby draw. It was probably a third of the height of my normal.
Okay.
Right.
So I'm reading on that one, I'm reading an angle of attack of downwards 3.2 degrees.
Okay, so that's 3.2 down.
Contact was good though.
Hit it
solid.
the
contact was pretty solid.
Good shot, but 3 degrees down. Now let me move the ball more forward, and so I'll get that kind of up off of my...
So you're moving, are you moving this into your normal spot? Or are you moving it even more than that?
I would say I like the aggressively forward ball position normally.
So we're gonna go with that. Okay.
Yeah, and I like to kind of off the lead toe, maybe just forward to the lead shoulder.
You got it.
And I'll make the same swing, but with the ball where it's supposed to be. Let me get it up there pretty good here.
Oh, super.
That looks like about 3 times as high.
Certainly.
Carried significantly farther.
Okay, so your speeds, your speeds are really comparable. Both swings were
unbelievably
fast, but they were within like less than a half a mile apart, so insignificant difference. On that swing, you turned upwards 1.1 degrees. So we had about a 4 and change degree difference, absolute difference between the two.
With just ball position.
Just from ball position. And right here on these two shots, we've proved our point because that second ball went 13 yards farther.
Yeah, perfect.
So what we're seeing in the published material out there that TrackMan, et cetera, puts out, we're seeing, you know, potential at your speed. You're seeing someone who's swinging pretty fast like you are. You're going to see up to 25, 30, even more yards.
Huge.
And then the average guy who's swinging 85, 90, still, they're going to be 20, 25 yards potentially, possibly just from this one tip alone.
Exactly. And if this one thing, just this ball position doesn't do it, let's look at number 2, the second biggest mistake, which can help with the same piece. Okay, so mistake number 2, second biggest mistake with the driver, Steve, that we don't like would be the tilt at address. Right?
Yeah, that can be awful in a lot of people. It can really wreck them.
And it's the same sort of kind of leading to the angle of attack, but
it does.
In short, right, if I were to just oversimplify and there's a club right up my spine line, let's say from face on, me having tilt would be, in simple terms, me getting this kind of angle to the right, right shoulder a little bit lower relative to that address. What we see is people are too straight up and down, or even worse, this way, right? Which if I'm looking at the ball and I have this, and it might not feel like you're here, but you might be here, so I'm gonna check. From this position, looks a lot like I'm gonna hit pretty far down on it.
Yeah, and an additional quick thing, just stay there for a second, is that generally when you get tilted this way, we end up getting way left too, and so now all of a sudden we're biased to swing more out to in as we're swinging down.
And that happened without me trying to do it, right? And then you can notice from the down the line camera, my right arm gets high. Usually a right hand grip that gets really on top like so.
Yes, it has to fit that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, they just go together. And then the ball's curving this way. So what we want to see is not just straight up and down. We actually want to see this tilted to the right. More so by the right shoulder getting lower, closer to the left. You know, I see good long drivers could be 7, 8, 9, 10 degrees tilted, you know, at address. So it can be significant. So the point being, after you get the ball position forward to let you hit the most up, also what will help hit up with this, more distance, less speed, is having some tilt at address. And so, and let me know if there's anything other simple in this, but I like one of our good buddies, Marty Nowicki, said at address, if you put your right hand fingers down your leg and you get that kind of just to your kneecap, that would give you a sufficient amount of tilt. I thought it was simple.
That is simple, I like that.
And kind of making sure my right shoulder stays back as I'm doing this. And so this would be sufficient tilt.
Yes.
You like that?
Yes.
And so let's do the same thing, Steve. Let me hit one with good tilt.
With good tilt.
So I'm gonna do a good one first.
Now both of these balls will be with constant ball position.
Same ball position.
the first one.
Same ball position, yeah. Or we could really show a good versus bad with the other. But we'll go same ball position with good tilt. This will be shot 1. I expect this to go higher and carry farther, all else equal.
Yeah, towering.
That was probably my best one of the day, Steve.
Yeah, that was blasted.
Much kind of high, good ball flight, probably good carry distance.
Yeah, outstanding drive.
And that, from the driver guru, I'll take that compliment. Now let's say I do the bad one.
Okay.
So here would be my good. My good is right hand fingers to my kneecap.
So you're going to bring it up almost the opposite.
Almost
above.
go like kind of here, right?
Yeah,
kind of thigh-ish.
Got it.
So this would be, so if you're standing here doing your driver and your fingers are mid-thigh with your trail thigh, that's probably a telltale sign that you don't have enough tilt. And I can feel now I'm open. This feels like it's a disaster waiting to happen, but I'll hit one anyway. So here's me, no spine tilt. Feels like my hips are back more than normal. Yeah, and
well, that's kind of what I would expected you to do.
I didn't even try and make it look like that, but you guys couldn't see there's a huge curve to the right, and I expect.
And again, you're so efficient with this that you proved our point again.
Yeah. With the speed.
So the speed was approximately the same again.
Yep.
It was within a mile an hour of each other. There was enormous difference in distance, but your angle of attack on that one was downwards 5.
Wow, okay.
Well, the first one where you tilted more correctly, it was upwards 1.5.
Okay.
And interestingly, as predicted, like we were talking about the shoulders moving left, your path moved outside in 3.2. So your swing plane was way left.
And that ball curve, a country mile to the right, right?
Yeah, we're way off all of a sudden.
We're seeing when I'm doing those pieces, my normal swings are kind of 1 degree up, which is okay. And then interesting, with the ball back, it was 3-ish down. It's one swing, we need a larger sample size. But that was 5 down.
Yeah, imagine doing both.
Imagine having the ball back and that. So those are 2 huge mistakes. We could talk for a half hour about that, but let's move on and talk about mistake number 3. All right, Steve, so mistake number 3 with the driver. We've gone through 1 and 2, which have proven to be huge distance gains on our first shot with each one, right?
Yeah,
it'll be really telling to do more of them with just setup adjustments.
Yes.
We even swing the club.
Correct.
Right? Now we're going to start swinging the club.
Yes.
And what we're going to talk about here, even though there could be some downswing things, right, is from the top.
Big one from the top. Yeah. So instead of something like this, you might be trying to hold, because that's what you think the guys on TV are doing, or someone instructed you to do that.
So the bad,
like a hold.
Yeah, a hold with a very narrow angle.
Yeah.
The butt of the club way forward, the club head way behind.
Trying to maintain that initial angle I had at the top for too long.
Yeah.
By literally, I'll have to kind of cock upwards to resist the force that's trying to pull it outwards, and I'm holding it against that. And you see where I'm going to tend to be here as I get to the ball. I'm in bad shape here.
You're in awful shape, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to be hitting down the most, with the face the most open, with the least amount of loft.
Yes.
Right, which is low forward right type of shot that carries nowhere.
Yes.
But then what would be the good motion from the top, Steve?
The good motion of the top would be, once I'm here and I just step down onto my left heel, I'm really giving it a good throw.
Yep.
Some people might describe that as a cast move.
Yep.
But for me, if I've got the right shifting, turning going, I can't do this early enough or free enough. I can do it as free and early as I want, which gives me this amazing sense of just looseness and freedom, and not a sense of trying to time anything perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, let's switch by. I'll show the bad one. Steve swings so freaking nice with this in there. You don't have the bad one in him. And letting it throw from the top, which is what all good long ball strikers do, mixed with the pivot, right, is the key of it. So let me show this face on camera here. And let's do this. I'll do the bad one first, do my best bad attempt. And so what bad's going to be in my mind, what I'm going to try and do is get the butt of the club kind of even with the ball, with the club head way behind. And I'm going to feel like there's a real narrow angle here. And again, if you're seeing someone do that on TV who swings 125, 130, different conversation than if that guy's swinging 80, 85, 90, 95. Right? This is a different ballgame. So for me, just the math behind the amount of loft I need and how high I need to hit it at 80, 90 miles an hour, 100 even, to get it to carry, what I do want to feel is the club head widening. So here's the bad one. So let's see what I got here with this, Steve. So this feels like I'm going to go really low and right. I'll try and keep my setup pretty good. Ball position neutral, good tilt, handle way forward. Let's see what we can do here. And so that's about what I would expect. I felt like I hit that solid. It went a fourth of my normal height. Looked like it carried about 60 yards less, and it was a little push cut for those wondering.
I'm surprised that the ball traveled that straight, actually.
It's
really, really talented.
No. So that was the this feel, right? So that's a low kind of cutty carry nowhere. Now the good version for me with still the good setup, and not mistake number 3, is me feeling the widening the throw from the top and blending that with my pivot. I expect this to launch much higher and carry much farther. Good tilt, good ball position. Let's let this one throw here. And so that one I hit solid too.
Yeah, significantly higher. Angle of attack completely different.
I mean, I had to carry 60, 70 yards farther.
Yeah, your first ball peaked at just 51 feet high, and that one was 60% higher. It was like 90 feet high. Even on a little draw. And your angle of attack went up like 5 degrees from where it was on the first one. So
huge carry distance.
Yeah, so the two things you were able to do were, number one, hit it higher, but number two, square up the face. Rather than having to leave the face open, which would be the tendency of someone who's coming in here, is they're going to be fighting that exact pattern that you just did on the first one.
And so not only with mistake number 3, as Steve mentioned, and that's perfect, because I forget that in this a lot of times, the handle being so far forward, not only do you launch the ball lower, you hit it much shorter, you also have a much harder time squaring the face, which is the benefit of having a little throw, which you should have from the top. We can go on with that, but let's talk about mistake number 4. Okay, Steve, so mistake number 4 with the driver we see during the downswing again, we'll say will be swing direction or swing path, right, swing plane.
Either way, interchangeable.
The bad being some combination or form of a steepening or over the top.
Right, and so already you've prepared yourself halfway down, that now you're just locked in where the club is going to be coming across to the left as it's hitting the ball. And we could even put if I put a bucket right down here in the corner of the mat, it's a super easy, free training aid you can use. Now see, he's going to just whack that bucket on the way down.
Big time over it.
Okay, so why don't you make a swing like that, and I'll give you a couple of numbers on it.
So this would be the bad kind of SEPO type.
Right, this is, yeah.
What I think is interesting, Steve, and this will play in as we go, is for me to do the bad stuff, I notice I'm doing other bad things we're going to talk about, how they all kind of correlate together.
It can be done without doing them, but it is harder, isn't it? It
is.
It's natural to swing outside without making the other errors.
So I'm going to go normal setup, all the other good pieces, but on the way down here, I'm going to get this thing more from outside, kind of higher.
So kind of the over-the-toppy type of pattern, sure.
We'll see what that looks like here. So a little, everything else good, but I got the over-the-top.
Kind of did exactly, the shot shape is exactly what you planned.
Yeah, a lot shorter carry distance, which is noticeable, is what I'm seeing out there, right? So that would have been like right rough, probably curved 20 yards, wasn't terrible, but went significantly shorter and lower.
So, I mean, you're massively downwards on that at 6.6.
Yeah.
So there goes out all your carry distance right there, and your path was 6.5 left.
Yeah.
And that pattern of 6.5 left, that's going to be low pulls, climbing high slices into the right trees, and not a lot in between. And anything that is straight is kind of short.
Exactly, doesn't carry anywhere, and probably was lower than normal for most people. And what's interesting is I only tried to swing over the top there. I didn't try and hit down, but it happened as a byproduct of my outside in.
So you would say that your swing plane or your swing path, if it's moving left straight or a little bit into out right, has a huge influence on your angle of attack.
Yeah, exactly. So the counter to that, me swinging over it automatically led to down, would be if I swing, we'll say from the inside.
Yeah, so let's see if we can get some opposite numbers. I'll bring the bucket back in again.
Yep.
And again, I would put that kind of like in the corner of the mat with the driver to kind of encourage you. If you're doing this at home for the first time, I suggest you start by bunting.
Right, yeah.
He's going to give it a shot and see if he doesn't wipe it out at a full speed.
Yep. So this will be the good version, which would be the swing direction. Obviously, we're widening the arc. The club head's kind of working more from inside until the impact position. And so we go inside the bucket there. Let's go ahead and do one there. So more from inside, everything else the same. Good, that one I overdid a little with the hook pattern.
But the numbers, as the ball striking numbers approach, you almost reverse them entirely. So you're 6 degrees on the inside there, and you turned upwards about 3. So much more conducive to hitting a high draw, and a good experience for someone who swings outside to in 6 degrees every time, like you did on the first one. It's a good experience to hit one opposite 6 degrees into out. See, now all I have to do, if you wanted to hit one more, I would just take this and move it like to there.
And just neutralize it.
And just, and now it'll be easy now that you've had the experience of hitting several balls excessively inside to out.
And I think a huge point with this in terms of getting the driver to go farther, I haven't changed my speed at all. By just changing swing direction, honestly, I didn't try and change angle of attack there at all, and I think it changed 9 degrees, from 6 down to 3 up with just swing direction. So you guys have seen the sticks in the buckets, all kinds of different swing direction. That's a must to be able to hit the driver farther. That's mistake number 4. Let's talk about mistake number 5. Okay, so mistake number 5 with the driver, Mr. Steve, continuing with the downswing and really downswing into the follow through for this one. We talked about how to set up 2 pieces. We talked about how the club moves initially 2 pieces. And now we're gonna talk about how the body moves really 1 piece. And we were just talking there, and I think the simplest way, you said, and I would say the same thing, is the mistake we see with people during the downswing is, we'll say, the head and upper body getting, in whatever form, getting too far forward of the ball and towards the target. Which, as you can see with my club, is often leading to that down and outward.
Starting to steep and potentially be more out to in again.
There's that low one that doesn't go anywhere.
It looks to me like if your head was that forward like that in reality, you probably might even take a divot in front of the ball with your driver.
Exactly. I see it the most. Or people come like this, they hit too far down and get the pop-ups oftentimes with that.
Now, I think people get almost self-diagnose themselves just based on their tee height. So if a tall tee intimidates you and makes you feel like you're going to pop it up, this might be you, or any of these 5 things that we've talked about might be you.
A great likelihood that one of the 5, right? And so if I look at this face-on one here, Steve, one more time, and I go here, and I have a neutral ball position, which is important, because for me to have my head behind the ball, which a good one would be my head stays behind the ball until my finish. but it stays by my ball through backswing. So that starts with the ball being forward. Hard to keep my head behind the ball from here, right? But let's say the ball's here like this. I make my normal swing. The bad would be my head gets forward even with it. The good would be my head stays back as I'm doing the other two pieces that we talked about, right?
And your weight is getting this way. So let's say you're getting back into that, we talked about side tilt a little bit. You're getting back into that position, that angle again as you're striking the ball, which in other words, your belly button or your belt buckle would be out in front of your chin at the moment of the strike. And that's getting you back into that tilt again.
Love that. Yeah, so when we're coming down, for a visual of that, when I'm working into here, I'm still shifting, I'm still turning, and my hips are still extending as I'm doing that. I have some right side bend in there. The head stays back as we go. And so let's do the bad one first, do the good one second. So again, with the bad one, normal setup, head and upper body moving too far forward. I would expect some amount of downward, maybe leftward angle of attack, maybe a pop up high on the face. Let's do one. Head works down and forward too much. So there's that kind of low push cut.
Yeah, it's that bad, ugly low slice again. It's
Carries nowhere.
It's hard for you to get a really bad one, isn't it?
Well, thank you. But we saw a couple bad ones.
It's like self-preservation. Like I was, you know, could you actually take a divot and pop the ball up?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so yeah, that's lousy distance efficiency.
Yeah,
didn't go very far for the effort you put into it.
For the amount of speed, right? So now everything the same, but as I come down, I'm gonna keep my head back behind the ball, which for me, again, feels like I'm doing my right shoulder close to my hip, right side crunch, as my hips push forward and turn.
I like that position.
So let's go ahead and keep the head back as I do one.
Just ultra high. That's gotta be the highest ball you've hit today off the tee.
And so as I go,
so much higher.
Yeah, I mean, and the visual for us, Steve, is really easy here as we're watching, and you guys, as you're going through this, will see the same thing. All of the bad ones, all 5 of those bad things, the ball launched much lower than normal, carried much shorter, and oftentimes curved to the right.
Yeah, and I think you made it look good because I think the average guy watching at home was shooting 85, 90, 95, would not pull it off as well as you did. I think their ball would hit the right fence and go into the right trees, out of bounds. More drastically, absolutely.
And the counter to all those bad things being lower, shorter, and more right is pretty much across the board. All the good ones definitely went a lot higher.
Absolutely.
Carried farther.
And tended to turn over right to left a little bit more. So you weren't struggling with leaving the club face open, because that's basically a function of club face angle, the way you were hitting the ball and curving it.
Exactly. And so when you guys are doing this, right, the signs know, obviously recording your own swing, working with a coach, but also just seeing what the ball flight's doing. Like, am I set up with the ball forward in this amount of tilt? Am I staying back? Well, if the ball's not going higher, carrying farther, and going less to the right than normal, that's a good indication that you're not doing those things enough. Would you say that?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, guys, now you just got done here. I want you to watch both of these videos above. Gonna help you more with your driver and hitting the ball farther. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did like it, do us a favor, click the like button down below. That'll help us out. Click the notification bell. Please subscribe. Thanks for watching.